Hey everybody, good morning. My name is Jeeves. I'm an old composer here, and I pull back the layers and dissect suggested tracks from you here on the World Music Reaction and Review channel. So I have now gotten into an artist by the name of SQUAREPUSHER, actually suggested to me by my subscribers on the other channel, but I'm doing now all my EDM and electronic music and all kinds of subgenres of that on this channel. So apparently he is a bass player, but also classically trained. And it looks like I'm in for, this was very odd when I looked at the genres here. It says classical, dance, electronic. So it also says that he fuses in all kinds of different styles with this work. So I look forward to that because I'm really into that kind of progressive composition. You know, EDM to me has never been this like taboo thing that you never, oh, you do EDM, that's, that's that music elitist purist kind of vibe, and I'm totally polar opposite. If it gets me to go, to bebop or to kind of, if I can feel it, I don't care what actually is making the sounds, be it an organic instrument or if it's, digital. So anyhow, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you want to support the channel, because if you see any ads, they do not monetize this channel. It goes to the artist and the publishers. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee or check out the headsets I'm wearing, or even join me on Patreon. The Patreon thing is a lot more heavy metal though. But hey, if you like heavy metal, it's there. The links are down below. Okay, so let's do this. This is SQUAREPUSHER, and the name of the track is Beep Street. All right. Wow, so unique on so many different little levels. The first thing I want to talk about briefly is the drums. Now, the opening really did sound like live playing. It's very possible since I'm really new to EDM and I've heard of chopping samples and doing stuff like that. But that opening sounded live, even though it's kind of hi-fied or lo-fied. you know, when they take the sound, they compress it, they pull out all kinds of parts of the EQ and pump things to make it sound very tinny and small. You know, some people might say it's called like a radio effect. But on that, he has an overall reverb that gives it some depth and ambience, which is really cool. But it opens up like it's okay, it's live, but then there's some obvious chopping up that's going on there. And I really, 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 really dig that. That takes work, number one. That's not like you're holding down a loop and you're just having some fun, even if you built the loop yourself. And then very unique chord changes that are going in there that are kind of like a jazz, like a, not a major jazz type chord progression, but soft jazz fusion-y. And it's like, it sounds like it's an 8 chord progression, but it's 7 only because one of the chords seems to repeat itself in the progression at I believe the 6th mark or the 7th mark. But those chord changes are really cool. And they really kind of put you in this kind of a yo-hip jazzy kind of, hey, just kind of chilling. Now, I do know from what little experience I have with EDM that a lot of times the repetition of phrases is very normal. So if you go in a whole minute and you're hearing what some listeners might say, the same thing. The other thing that I really enjoy are the unique arrangements he's going around it. So there's, you know, a little bit of a counter melodic kind of vibe going there. So to me, rhythmically, it's really super cool. But the hook, for me, actually are the chord changes. They kind of pull me in nicely. Now we just got going into another section here where there's a little messing around with time. I liked how I was in this groove and then he slowed it down. It seemed like he slowed it down by bringing the hi-hat tempo down, but the the chord changes stayed in that same tempo. So when it lifted back up, you didn't really lose anything, but it gave you that sensation. Now we seem to be creeping into an area where he's playing around a little bit now with the rhythm, or how he's playing. Not necessarily meter changes, but excuse me, a little bit of a unique syncopated kind of vibe that's going on here. But and also there are these subtle little melodies that are happening, or secondary arrangements with very unique synth tones that in of itself I think might be at a 4th or something. I'm not too sure. I love this. This is kind of stuff I can listen to. This is, for some reason, this works for me. That's the best way for me to put it. All right, let's continue. I love the overriding sound of that electric piano that are doing these really cool inner scale stabs. They're not quite called stabs, but these chord changes within it. And what I love about it is his use of dynamics. That electric piano in its dynamics, as far as the stereo, is the widest instrument out of everything that's happening here. So, and if you're listening to headsets, it really feels very forward in the composition. And that's really super cool. And then I got to go back to the drums really quick. It just sounds so cool, like it's live. And then he takes little elements, and he may have chopped a few things up to do those speeding up snare things. And I love the way he uses his effects as part of the arrangement. Obviously, that's well, engineers do that, and producers and stuff. That's why there are effects, delays, reverbs, and stuff. But as that swell kind of came, sorry, allergies. As that swell of with the snare came up, it seems like he pushed it through the reverb and let that settle and kind of have a long tail on it, but the rest of the kit and everything else still went back to that other plate kind of sound or whatever. And I like that. That's a lot of time and energy and thinking into something that some people say, well, it just repeats itself or something. You know, how hard could it have been? No, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So. Wow, that was really, really, really super cool the way he ended that. And I loved, you know, I just, for myself as an old composer, and also have been kind of pseudo involved in the jazz fusion kind of elements of the music industry throughout my career. I do miss composition like that, where that nice melody he had up here da, 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 was really nice and repetitive, and for what I would consider the pure listener, that's what sticks. You know, that's what a hook is. But what I love is the chords he was using below that to support that melody. And I believe there's a huge shortage of that style of composition as the years have gone by, at least in pop world. You know, I can't say, well, because, you know, I was born in the 60s, so I remember how, you know, songs were composed in the 70s and the 80s, and especially because my family was involved in a lot of music in the industry back in the days, where there were really nice chord changes behind melodies. Things have changed now, obviously, where there could be 2 or 3 chord changes for the whole song. And, you know, I'm not saying that we're going down the tubes as far as composition's concerned as we move forward. Not whatsoever. But I'm just saying, from my point of view, the chords that he used in this track, as well as that last piece, were so nice. And he took these kind of fusiony jazz chords and applied them, you know, at least the way I'm feeling it, to the EDM style of what he did with the drum kit. And there was that other da 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 kind of a melody in the back. I thought it was a fourth. I thought it was like I thought it was a harmonized monophonic note, but it wasn't. That was my bad. But there was this other nice little melody that was going back there with that unique sound that I mentioned the first time. That lasted pretty much throughout the song, or at least it was very consistent. Excuse me. He went back to that sound kind of in each little section he had to write some kind of secondary hook with it. You know, so this was really, really super cool. I am so glad that this got suggested to me. And yeah, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out. I got a lot of fun tracks coming up on this channel in the next couple weeks, especially with some of the fact that I've been really kind of hooked on the video game and anime OST stuff. So I have quite a bit of that coming up as well. So you guys have a great weekend. Take care. See ya.